For those who are wondering how my garden's been doing since I set it up in the fall, and I did a video on it, here's what you get. I'm having trouble with my phone, so sorry. 2 ears of corn. It's only we got 4 ears on the 4th of July, and these two, which are a little bit small, but those kind of help you judge the size of everything else. Here's a can to help you judge the size. But some of this stuff is way too big. It hides and we find it too late. Obviously the yellow cucumbers are way too big. They're going to get fed to the chickens. And we got some zucchinis in here, a couple radishes that are kind of the last of the season. But look at all the cukes. I picked cucumbers 2 days ago in one garden and yesterday in one garden, and there's always some you miss, and so they end up being huge. But I'm going to show you the garden after this, and you can see, where I got all this stuff. Look at the beautiful yellow squash. There's a tomato one of my chickens got into a few days ago, but they earned it. They did a lot to help with this. All right, I'm going to show you the rest outside. Okay, I'm finally out in the garden with my camera at the same time as I'm ready to film. So here's my back 40 tomatoes. I call this my back 40 garden, or just the far garden. So here is zucchini, a few okra we transplanted because we had to thin out the okra, but look, the zucchini's already, and the other squash getting a little close. These are some real late bean plantings that are rather neglected. Eventually I'm going to put down some stuff and hope they survive it. Put down some wood chips. But here's all kinds of butternut squash. You can see the zucchini has the bigger leaves. So that's the zucchini, and it's like up to my thigh. Back here we planted some cucumbers on what was left of our pig fence once the pigs were gone. And in the fall that will be our pig fence again. We put it back into a circle. Here's radishes are all going to seed. It was basically too late for radishes when I planted them, which I figured it was. So we got a few, but the carrots, there's a few carrots in there. See, but not many of them made it. I probably didn't water enough right at the start, and it was really hot. So here's our cucumbers, though. I had put them on all 3 of these fences, but just yesterday, or the day before, we tore off that middle row because they were just so close. We couldn't get in there, and the sun couldn't get in there, and you could see how bad this looks at the bottom here, where these starting to mold because it was getting no sun. But it's pretty amazing. Well, that looks kind of moldy, and it was getting sun, so I don't know why. Could just be they're planted too close. But I wanted to show you here some little watermelon. Here's my hand so you can see. No, there's a bigger one in there somewhere. Oh my gosh. The watermelon, you see the different leaves? The watermelon has gotten buried. You can barely see their leaves popping up here and there. It's gotten buried by that crookneck squash. Hang on a minute, I'm going to show you one in here if I can remember where it was. Well, here's a smallish one. There's still pretty darn big. There was one really long one. All right, so one more spot I want to show you, and that's the corn. I'll go around the other side and film more corn. Oh, I'm on the same garden backside of the tomatoes, but I just wanted to show you what I've been doing. I happen to have this tabletop piece of glass that doesn't go to anything. So I've been moving it along every day under my electric wire. And look how good it works. Just basically kills everything without any chemicals. So they come back after a couple weeks. Everything here grows like crazy. So anyway, good trick to know. This is our electric wire we put around everything. It keeps out, well, I don't know what it keeps out, but it's supposed to keep out our chickens, deer, rabbits, anything. This top line is a piece of fishing line that we were told the deer will bump against it and they get confused and don't know what to do, so they don't go in. I don't know if it's true, but nothing's gotten anything in this garden yet, except a couple tomato hornworms. So don't know if that's good luck or the wire worked. Now we've taken the charger off the wire and moved it somewhere else, so now it's not even electric anyway. So it would only work on, it still works on the chickens. They don't know it's not electric and they won't go in. So this is just the other side of this. I was walking over here to the corn. Look how big the corn is. I'm holding this at eye height. I planted all Silver Queen, which is like white corn if you don't know. And here's my corn. I've gotten a couple dozen ears so far. We planted it in, you know, different plantings, so that's why some of it's really small. These first 4 rows here we planted first, then 4 more over here. Anyway, it's pretty weedy in there, but it really doesn't matter anymore. We aren't concerned about weeding it out. Rick went in and weed whacked in there. It's sort of an unconventional weeding method. These rows down here we planted last, and it was kind of too late, kind of too hot, and I did not keep watering them enough, and that's what you get. So it's sort of overtaken by grass now, and that's how it's going to be. If you saw my video where I spread out the wood chips on the pig field, now you know what it ended up looking like. This is it, the pig field. And you can see it getting lower here. That's because it's in the shade of this giant tree. So shady, shady, sunny, sunny, sunny. Okay, so I'm heading toward the lower garden, but I thought I might come by here and show you these are the blackberries that were already here when we moved in, but they looked like nothing, so we've been putting them on the fence and weeding them, and they need a trim, but they're not going to do anything this year. It's going to be next year when we get some. But now we're here at the lower garden. It's by the chicken coop. See, this is where we used to keep the chickens and the pigs when they were babies. If you saw that video of the pigs getting let loose, they were in here fertilizing. So check out my cucumbers. They're going up here and onto a net. We put this net, let's try to step back a little here. We put this net using just some electric wire posts, just as, you know, just to hold up the net. I'm not seeing the net in my camera here. Anyway, so there's the net. That's to keep out deer. I mean, deer could jump right over this fence with no problem. It's only like 4 feet high. So here's a tomato. I planted a few tomatoes in this corner, but I'm kind of letting them be chicken food now that the chickens, I want the chickens in here, so sometimes. So I'll try to get you to see it, but I don't think you really can see it. But the cucumbers off there in the distance, the yellow flowers are cucumbers, and they're going up the fence and up the net. And look over there, they're way up on the net and coming across the net. Oh my gosh, look at the size of that one in the middle there. All right, so here's my beans. This little 7 or 8 by 7 or 8 square of beans produced, I don't know, I lost track after like 40 quarts of beans. Here's some beets. I had radishes here that are gone now. Here's my carrots. Don't know how well they're gonna do. The radishes down here did not do well, so I don't know how these are gonna do. All right, so there's some tomatoes that went way up the fence, but they're in the real shade, so they're not doing great either, even though the plant looks good. I mean, there's some tomatoes, so maybe they're picking up now. There's some okra. There's my cucumbers going way up the net. And then we got a few random different kinds of squashes here. And if you look way over there, I'll go inside. There's some what are called rattlesnake pole beans. They grow really tall, they're really big, and we don't really like them, so we're letting them go to seed. And we're gonna just try to eat the seeds, the bean seeds. And if we don't like them, the pigs can have them. Okay, I'm gonna go inside. Okay, here's my upper garden. This is the one I showed the video pulling out all the rocks. and putting on a lot of leaves, and this garden is just fantastic. The edge of the garden is right where that cement ball is. So if you look straight down there toward the fence, all this watermelon and squash is coming out on the lawn, which is really what I wanted. Get myself out of the picture. Okay, so this watermelon, I planted 2 hills, one here and one here, and then there's like a walkway in here you can't see, and then I planted 2 more hills, and then I planted another hill there and there. I know you can't tell at all what I'm saying, but anyway. There's okra. But look at this. This is the edge of the garden. Let me get to it. Okay, there's a rock there. I can hardly see it, but this is the edge of the garden. Darn. Okay, anyway. Here's my watermelon coming all over the lawn. And so I planted it along the edge here. And I planned that it would go out on the lawn so that I didn't have to till the area where it's going to go all over. Why do I need to till and weed where it's going to go? So, but check this out. Can you even see that giant watermelon in there? It is probably about a foot long so far. Here's another one. Let's see. There's another one right in there too. So in California, in Ojai, we bought an organic watermelon that was orange flesh in the middle, and it was so good. And so we saved the seeds, and that's what these are. Earlier in the spring, I had, and I still have over there, some carrots and some beets, and I had beautiful, beautiful radishes, but the radishes are done, and now the watermelons are kind of taking over. I keep trying to move them off the beets and carrots because they're not ready yet. But I had no idea how huge watermelons could grow. So now I know. Here's 2 little squash. You can see the different leaves that I planted really late, hoping for some late summer squash. And here's a couple peppers. Everything's getting overtaken by this watermelon. I'm trying to aim it away and like aim it out toward this fence here. But here's my tomatoes. And then there's more of this electric fence that we put. That's to keep out the chickens. The golden chickens, the golden comets, are just excellent, excellent chickens. At least ours are. They hardly bother anything in the garden. They just get bugs. And earlier on, they were in here scratching, and eventually I kept them out just for a few weeks while the seedlings were starting. But as soon as I felt they were big enough for them to scratch around, I let them back in, and they just eat the bugs and clean it up, and they don't mess with the plants. Occasionally they might take a bite. Well, then we got some new chickens, which are white leghorns. Well, those guys, they'll eat a lot more stuff. So they taught the golden girls, as we call them, to eat my tomatoes, even the green ones. I see them in here eating green tomatoes. Red tomatoes, of course, they like better. So that's when we put the electric fence around. And so far, the white leghorns haven't been trained to the electric fence, and the golden girls already know. They've known for a long time to stay out of that. One time, I put the fence on the ground, and here's a few late beans we planted. I laid the fence down, and I tried to get the chickens to go in the garden, and they just would not cross the line, even when it was on the ground and turned off. So these are my, I planted 2 hills here of yellow crookneck squash. And they're starting to look kind of bad, I know. I wish I'd filmed them a few weeks ago when they looked as gorgeous as this zucchini. But I have gotten at least 30, probably more, because I kind of lost count. I've been keeping the tally, but I don't always mark it. But I get every couple days or every day, I'll come out and get several crookneck squash. That one's too small to pick. There's my little patch of carrots there. And these okra are doing really well. This is where we thinned them out and took some down there, and they actually were able to survive. But there's giant okra in there. You can't pick them by hand. So I'm never down here with a knife in hand, and I don't really like them anyway, so. But I do need to get a knife and get down here and cut some. Alright, well, one more thing I'll show you, and then I guess I bored you long enough. Here's one of the butternut squash growing in here. See the size of it? And I have big hands, believe me. There's a watermelon right next to it. And there's a little watermelon. See the little one? Okay. Just a quick view of the yard. More beans just to put something on the fence. And there's more over there. I guess you can't even see them. Okay.